Hari Om. Hari Om. I see I don't need to say it. Everybody has already turned off their camera. It's still the same thing. The internet is still overloaded. We don't have too good a connection, so it's much better like this. Yeah, shall we start? Is there anyone who dares to start our conversations? Please come in. There is a
Okay,
stone.
Werner. Yeah.
Ah, Cyril.
Yes.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. Can you see me?
I can see you. Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me well? Because
Yep.
there is not so far away a stone cutter machine. I hope it doesn't interfere.
No. I hear you perfectly. It's very good.
Good. Great.
Werner, I was thinking about maybe I say it in French or and to be and to have. Être et avoir.
Oui.
Then if you really, I feel like if you really want to reach the goal, you have to be, and you cannot have both. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's not that you have to give away all your possessions in order to have a chance. What we have to give away is the attachment. What we have to give away is that we define our well-being with our possessions. That sometimes you may have more, fine, it comes, nothing wrong with it. Sometimes you may have less, also fine. Then you adjust. And we can actually live with very, very little if necessary. But that doesn't mean we have to all be sadhus now. It doesn't mean everybody has to become an ascetic. An ascetic can be very attached to his little possessions and to his image and to the feedback from the other people, the respect that they're asking for. What we have to give up is that attachment, wanting something from the world in order to be happy. We have to become aware that that happiness that we are looking for is coming from our own self. That you are the source of your happiness.
Yes.
And then playfully, as it comes in this game, you can have your possessions. It's not that you have to have a bad conscience. It's not that you have to think, oh, I should give everything away. I should get rid of everything. You just don't make a big story about it. And then it doesn't disturb you.
But it's like a shift. I realize there is many things I want, and suddenly I realize, no, I have to be. I have to be, to focus more on being, and I mean, not to refuse the material world and everything, but try to more. I realize it's my being, it's most important, and then I get lost in the looking for things and the...
Right, there you can work on, of not thinking I should have this, I should have that in order to be happy.
Yeah.
If there springs up a desire for something and it's no big deal, it's easy to obtain and you just get it, then no big deal, nothing wrong with it. But if you have to put your intent in it, if you have to struggle for it, then you can really look deep into yourself and wonder, is it really necessary that I'm in giving all that energy simply to have something? then you can maybe just drop the ID and instead of that use that energy to be more self-conscious here now.
But there is still a problem. I want to be near Arunachala. I want to go back to India. I feel I cannot get my oxygen without going back to India. And so, of course, you should say, no, everything is here and now. I mean, you know.
Nothing wrong with wanting to go back to Arunachala right now. You can't. So don't let that be a source of misery. Then you can think of Arunachala, connect with Arunachala, also when you are in France. It is, of course, somewhat easier when you are in the physical proximity, but still, if we don't create that mental block and say, oh, it's terrible that I'm not at that place, but then you just open your heart, then you can feel that connection even when you're in France.
Yes.
But this is not a desire that is disturbing you, except if you make it into a problem.
No.
But that since you have the possibility usually to come here, then nothing wrong in coming here. Since you don't have any worldly obligation there, then you can as well come here, but right now you can't. So don't make it into a problem. Then you just connect wherever you are with what you are feeling here.
Yes. Okay. How is Tiru now? Is it hot? Is it fine?
It is dry. It was a little less hot the last few days, but today it's heating up again. I don't know how it's going to continue. I heard a rumor, I don't know whether it's true, because they relaxed a lot about the lockdown. And now I heard a rumor that in the local news there came the message that it has been spreading very wildly in Tiruvannamalai, the virus. And maybe on Monday they will lock down again everything. I haven't verified that information, but it may happen.
Okay.
So it's most probably not the moment to come physically here.
No, I know. I'm planning to come maybe in October. October, November. It's okay.
Yeah, by then, most probably it should be possible.
Okay. Thank you for your answer, Werner.
You're welcome. Anybody else who would like to come in, you're welcome to do so. Newcomers, please turn your camera off. Ah, yes. What we have been talking about just now with Cyril, that has been a subject that has always made people wonder when they started to get interested in spirituality. Should I now give up everything? Can I go deeper, living a normal, so-called normal life in the family? Many times it happened that householders came to Ramana. They asked him, please, Bhagavan, give me sannyas, give me the permission to leave my family. I want to live a spiritual life. And he practically always sent them home. That all you want is to run away from your duties. But if you are attached to your image as a householder, then if you would become a sannyasi now, you would be equally attached to your image as a sannyasi. Wherever we are, there is the place to connect with divinity, connect with the self. And it can be very well with the help of an image. It can be very well with the help of a concept of God. Here in the Hindu tradition, there are all these deities. They are all representing that same divinity. It's not that there are so many gods. It's just different forms. And for many people, it helps to connect with Shiva, to connect with Devi, to connect with Krishna, in order to feel that divine presence. And we can do that whether we are living the life of an ascetic or whether we are living the life in a family, going for a job. All we have to do is to remind ourselves. When we become aware how the attention is wandering, how it's going all over the world, how we are dwelling on the me idea of yesterday, of a year ago, of 10 years ago, of maybe tomorrow, what's going to happen, that there we learn to stop and just turn the attention 180 degrees, just come back home, here, now, consciously be conscious, here, now, and relax. How we are doing it, it doesn't matter. And it can very well be for people who have been here and feel something special when they are somewhere else, like Cyril in France, just thinking of Arunachala. And if that thought is there, that connection is there. And that sense of presence is there, and it helps to be here now. But it can also be without any image, just I am. Who am I? I am. Or simply breathe in, breathe out, relax. We can do that as ascetics. We can do that as householders. We can do that in the East. We can do that in the West. We can do that whether we are physically young or old, male or female. What matters is to remember, to connect until it becomes spontaneous and natural and happening by itself. Would anybody like to ask something? Please come in.
Hello.
Hello, Anita.
Do you hear me well?
I hear you, I see you.
Good. I'm not sure, but now I'm seeing that you might not record. Can it be?
Yes, I'm recording.
You are? Okay, good. Okay.
Yes.
So normally I see it, now I don't. Because it was just...
Don't you have up in your left corner a sign?
Ah, it's maybe more. I need my glasses to see. Yeah, that's right. That's new. It looks different now. Yeah. Yes, it's good because it was nice what you just said. Yeah, until it becomes natural.
Yeah.
That's my wish, and always
Yes.
to remember always. But it's not happening.
We cannot do that. It's not that we can just at a certain moment decide from now on, I'm just rooted in that. From now on, I'm just always remembering. I mean, we can decide whatever we like. After that, the old habits will pull the attention away invariably. I mean, this may happen 1 in a billion, that intent is there and it happens. For all of us, nearly all of us, we may intend, we may remember more, and then the old habits overtake again. We get completely absorbed in our stories, whatever is happening, and then the memory comes back. Completely. We can never really be disconnected, but we can consciously be disconnected, consciously be absorbed in the movie. And there, at that moment, when the memory comes, when we become aware, at that moment, you just connect again and relax in that. And if you do that consequently, then will come these moments where it's happening by itself. It will go for some time and then it may stop again. And then you are back to the work, to reminding yourself and connect whenever you remember, whatever you're doing, whether you're sitting quietly, whether you're alone, whether you're walking through a crowd, whether you're silent, whether you're talking. The moment you become aware, oh, I'm completely all over the place except here now, you come back home and relax. If we do that consequently, it will happen, will start to happen, that sometimes for moments, sometimes for periods, it's happening spontaneously, easily. But usually it's not when such a moment comes, when such a period comes that's finished, then we have a moment of grace, we have a period of grace, and then back we are again, and the work continues, undoing the old pull, the old habit that has the power to pull the attention always away and create again and again and again the delusion of being separate. Me, the person. Oh, I'm so important. All that stuff. But then the moment you see, you just come back home. You can go about it playfully. Don't beat yourself up that it is not happening by itself more. Just whenever you become aware, whenever you remember, connect. And don't beat yourself up for all the time that has passed in between, where you were not so much aware. It doesn't help. It's just more of the story. Then when we go about it in that way, on more in a playful way, then it gives also a good taste to it. And it's more attractive, and the mind will more tend to remember. When it's a heavy burden, when every time you remember, you first start a barrage about yourself and, oh, I'm not getting anywhere and feeling bad about it, then there is also more resistance of remembering again. If you can get more in a playful mood, it's becoming easier. Never mind, it will happen. We are just temporary here in this human form. playing this crazy role, and then we play it as good as we can.
When you say be consciously conscious, how
Yes.
could you say that in other words?
Because what I mean with that, what I mean when I say often that people go half asleep through their life, then there is hardly an awareness of the present. That whatever consciousness is there is most of the time absorbed in thinking about something that has happened, thinking about what maybe people think about me, what they are talking about me, all is circling around that story. Once that story is established, once that identification is there, the consciousness is extremely limited, turning round and round and round and round about the same subjects, always in the story, most of the time totally missing that beauty of existence now. Simply because we are somewhere in our head, in our cloud, about the past, the future, about other people, about me. Consciously conscious means to be alive now, and not to miss that one point where you are touching that fountain of beauty and joy and existence.
So that means when I'm really here, it should be really kind of joyful, blissful, or some sparkling energy, or?
But don't think if that is not happening, you are not connected in the present. You may connect consciously, be here now, but the old mood from where you are coming may still prevail. But the more you connect and the more, what is equally important, you learn to relax in it. The more it will open up and you will become more aware that it is always there if we don't prevent it. So don't think when it's not ecstatic, then you are not connecting. Sometimes it may, we are all in the mind, and then you connect, and then it may even look quite dry. So big deal, okay, I'm correct, so what? But don't get disheartened because of that. If you think like that, if you feel like that, then try to just in that connection relax. And what we talked last time, relax physically, start physically, relax. And already the mood is starting to change. The more you relax physically, the more you start to relax energetically, emotionally, intellectually. And the more you relax, the more you become aware that bubbling joy is there. We just have to let it happen and not prevent it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Arium.
Hari Om. Wish you well. You go ahead as you do. You're doing fine.
Thank you.
Would anybody like to come in? I see we are already again over 40. Somebody must have something they would like to talk about.
Hello,
Oh, yeah.
Ah, hello.
is it two people now or only me? Laura?
It's you. Yes.
Ah,
that-
okay, okay. So I wanted to, I'm not sure I understood your point about being in the present and joyfully. So when there is really a very difficult moment, maybe continuously or really difficult, class, whatever. And I am in the present, but it's very painful or scary or something, some difficult emotion.
Yeah.
So I relax into it, but I'm not joyful.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, often in such moments, you do connect. People do connect much more. The often very unpleasant moments, scary moments. There are moments of intensity, but people bring then the whole baggage into that. But in a moment of fear, the mind doesn't go about what happened yesterday, what's going to happen tomorrow, except it's fear of the future. But the fear of a situation in the present brings people to the present. But instead of letting go, then we have the tendency to bring in the whole baggage and completely miss the awareness of that intensity and be still, totally absorbed in the baggage, the me and the other, the danger that is happening there, instead of remembering, okay, here is that intensity, relax. And if you have the presence of mind to relax in such a situation, you will see it's like magic. It's totally changing. Externally, the situation may remain the same, and yet your perception of it is totally changed.
Yeah, it's different though with difficult emotions that maybe are connected with an event or with the thinking about or something like that. So difficult emotions, I mean, yeah, so maybe I wonder difficult emotions that are based on memories or thoughts or dwelling on something, maybe they are not difficult, or maybe there are no emotions there, but there is activity of the mind, of the memory.
Mm.
You see what I mean? Now, when you talk about fear, because I've experienced this intensity with fear,
Mhm.
but listening to you, I wonder about difficult emotions when I kind of dwell, or I don't know exactly the word.
You mean not even necessarily as a reaction to the present situation, but often also about what we are thinking about of the past.
Yes, getting up in the morning and starting my day, and then I don't like, it's that, all this, yeah, it's no fun, it's difficult, life is difficult, and my mother, and blah blah blah, and then I'm going down.
As long as you are not aware that you are doing that, nothing can be done. But when you recognize, I'm doing it again, at that moment, you just like step out and watch the emotion. It's not that you have to somehow think, I have to change my emotion. It's not a good emotion. It's a unholy emotion. Then no, let that emotion be there. Let the bad mood be there, whatever is happening. Let the fear be there. But instead of dwelling on the thoughts that brought it about and the stories that brought it about, you just here now in the present, you watch what it is doing to you. You watch how is that emotion manifesting. Watch, start on the easiest level. See what it is doing to you physically. It's quite interesting. Most of the time we have no idea what the emotions are doing. On top of that, emotions and thoughts, they are always riding on a wave of energy. So if you see what it is doing to you physically and relax, you become more and more aware what emotion energetically are doing. It's quite interesting to observe all this. And when you are observing, already you're not more a victim of your emotions. Already it's without even maybe thinking it, but you're becoming somewhere aware, okay, there is the emotion, there is the experience, but there is something in me that is not really touched by it. But the attention is already closer to that. But the more you can watch and relax, the more your attention will sink into yourself. And then the emotion is not more a problem. And if you are not feeding it with repeating the story over and over in your head, it simply will fade away.
What is it in me? Is it the intention to be present, the ability in the body? What is it in me that will anchor or something?
I didn't quite understand. Your
You
audio
said
is not very good.
You said you'll find out there is something in you that will help you, will bring you to the present, and will maybe take you away from all this activity of the mind. So is it the intention that I decide to feel the body, to notice the energy in the body and the physical body?
The intention is the starting point, that you withdraw your energy from going round and round and round in the same emotions. But then it's not the intention is the pointer, but what is it that really helps? You are that. You are that being that is not really touched by that.
Oh.
You are not that being that thinks I'm a victim of the circumstances, I'm a victim of my emotions, I'm a victim of this and that. That is the story that we are creating in the mind. You are that which makes the experience possible. And the more you bring your attention to the present and just relax, the more your attention sinks back into that.
Yeah. Thank you, Werner. That was deep, very deep.
You're welcome. You're most welcome.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Nurchi.
How are you?
Oh, quite fine. How are you?
I came here to Thiru for 5 days. Now I'm 95 days. So.
Yeah, that's a good achievement.
And today, for the first time, I got my act together because I found somebody who can cook Indian food the way I like it, and they came to my kitchen and cooked it. So I had a good meal, slept for an hour, just got up. So I'm feeling good.
So you're happy.
Yeah. Happiness, it's like up and down, like Vipassana. Yeah. And it's here. Yeah. It comes and it goes. So the question I have, go ahead.
Before you pose your question, I have a practical question. Have you heard anything that there may be a lockdown again in Tiruvannamalai?
They were thinking of doing it on Monday, but they have decided not to do it.
Oh, they decided not to do it. No, that's good news.
Yeah. See, what is happening is In Bombay, I can tell you where the figures were doubling every 20 days. Now they are doubling every 10 days.
Yeah, yeah,
And they are going to wait till it doubles every 5 days.
yeah,
So what's happening is all over the world, they have realized that they have been trying to flatten the wrong curve. Because if you flatten the virus curve, there are 3 other things that start acting up.
yeah,
Which is the economics, the emotions, and the social fabric of India.
right.
So they need to, at some time or the other, like in 202 years ago also, you have to play with the lockdown and lockout and then release it and tighten it up again.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think to answer your question, that's what will happen in Thiru.
yeah,
There were 500 cases in Thiru, now they are 250.
yeah,
But really they are not 250 because what happens is people are not reporting it nowadays because
Right,
if you
right.
report it, they come and put you to jail and they take you to the hospital.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and 80% of the time you can get cured with the headache and the asymptomatic, what they call.
Right, right.
So most people are understanding that.
Yeah. Okay, let's not talk further about it. I just was wondering whether you know. What
Yeah.
do you want to talk about?
Well, it's a difficult question. So let me see if I can put it in English because of my Hindi is very good, my native language. So उसका समझ में नहीं आएगा. I have to
Right.
translate now.
Unfortunately, I don't understand any Hindi.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. So basically, I'll speak for 2 minutes and then I'll come to the question. What I see happening all over the world is there's a new way that things are going to get done. The old way is out. And there are some 44 people on this satsang today. And I think they are, or at least I am very clear that I have to adapt to the new way, the new norm. It's not going to be like, for example, for me to go from here to Goa, I have to go and do all sorts of things just to drive in my car from here to go to Goa,
Yeah.
which I could do in the old way. Okay. Or my daughter went from Pune to Mahabaleshwar in the new way and she had to do all sorts of tricks. So I never imagined that there would be no international flights, there'd be no mosques, no churches, no temples, no God almost. All the hospitals are not allowing in. So basically, I'm seeing people here in Thiru and most of the people that I bump in are closing their eyes, ears, and thinking that the new way doesn't exist in their spiritual journey or whatever journey they are taking, which I don't understand much to begin with, because I didn't choose, because I didn't choose to be here. I had to be here.
Yeah.
So now I'm coming to my question. So what I'm looking for is, so there are 3-4 questions. Why? So when you're like, there's a World War III going on, like there was a World War II, and some people put their head in the sand and pretend that there was no World War I and II. So there are a whole lot of people doing that. So I have a friend of mine in USA and he's going to play golf and he's thinking nothing is wrong, everything is normal. Which I can clearly see he's going to realize it after some time when he doesn't get his paycheck. Okay, so money is going to hit everybody. The new way is definitely coming. There is a World War III going on between the 3 superpowers, whether we like it or not. And it's going to affect everybody. So it's not that it's not going to affect Noor. It's going to affect everybody who's on this system listening to me right now. I'm very clear that it's going to affect them. And it's already affecting them because they can't leave Thiru, some of them who are in Thiru right now.
Yes.
So my question is, why is it that we tend to put on this mask or this firewall in order to ignore the reality? So that's one question. And the second question is for me to understand that I'm seeing this happening and now how am I going to take care of it? So I've started to do things which I never did before, which is to increase my immune system so that I can fight the virus. Okay. So, and then I was told I'm in the top list because I'm over 60. So I'm on the top list of getting the virus and having issues. So shit, I'm fear of death. So I said, oh my God, I better do exercise, yoga, increase my immunity, take D3 tablet, take this tablet, take that tablet, you know, all sorts of things. So that's a defense mechanism that I'm going into to stay healthy so that I can fight the virus.
Yeah.
So that's the second thing. And the third one is, you're saying be in the present and all that. It's very good. You can be in the present, but you have to be aware of what you want to do after 3 months, after 6 months, after 1 year, etc. You can't just be in the present and say, I'm fat, dumb, and happy now, ha ha ha, hoo hoo, wee, he, and then ignore tomorrow. No. You have to be practical a bit. Because I met this one guy who's doing a lot of things, and he says, no, there is no such thing as time. So those types of people I'm meeting, you know, there's no such thing as time. What the hell, you know. He's supposed to join me here at 3 o'clock today, but he's not come, so maybe he'll come now.
Yeah.
I hear him outside.
I see. Okay.
So I hope I have been able to explain what I'm trying to ask.
Right. Let's take the first question. Why, you said, why are people putting on that mask and behaving as if nothing was happening? Well, because nobody knows really what is happening. And so we can hope and that we just, this goes over and we go back to the old ways and everything is fine again. Most probably changes will be there. Maybe not as drastic as you think right now, but they will come. If they not come immediately, they will come gradually. But there is also no point in worrying about it. Because after all, we don't really know which way and what way it is turning. You can very well have your plans for the future, how you are going to act, what you are going to do in the new situation. But the best you can do for your future is to really be here now and not to worry about the future. And then deal with the future when the future is present. Is your friend come? Your friend has come?
Yes, he just walked in. He's sitting next to me now. I was just telling him about it. He just came in. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. The best is that you are here now, that you are in the present. You can have your ideas. There is nothing wrong of thinking about the future, but don't be emotional about it. Don't fret about it. You can have your ideas and they may turn out right or they may turn out totally wrong. But there is only one point you are touching reality, and that is now, in the timelessness of the present. And the more you learn to live in that timelessness of the now, the more you bring something very beautiful into it that is capable of dealing with new circumstances. And even people who you said they are putting on masks and they don't see that it's changing, if they really live in the present, then they will be able, when things externally change drastically, to deal with it easier than if they were sitting here and fretting and being afraid of it and thinking, oh, I should do this, I should do that. And after that, anyhow, the circumstances change in many different ways from what one has imagined. You can very well make your plans, try to somehow deal with the situation, look forward and do the best you can, but don't get emotionally caught up in how you are arranging the future. The best you can do for the future is to be intensely in the present. The more you live that intensity, the more potential you bring into the future events, and when they are present, then it's the time to deal with them properly. Now I have mixed up your questions. Is
No,
there
so
another?
you've explained to me to be in the present and plan something for the future.
You can plan, but don't fix yourself. Don't get attached to your plans. You can have positive ideas for the future. I would rather go this way, that way. At the same time, keep that openness that maybe it's working out, but maybe not at all. Maybe it will be totally different from all I can think of, from all what I have imagined. If you have that broad-heartedness, then you can make your plans. But if you get attached to your plans, then every time things are not working out the way you were thinking about, then it's crushing you. It's coming down on you and makes you miserable.
Yeah, so you have to be flexible. I mean, you know, like that.
Right, totally.
Totally.
Especially,
That's okay.
Especially in a
especially
time
with
like now.
With the way the future new norm is, you have to be flexible.
Yes,
That's the future.
that's the future.
Okay. Now, the question comes that the economic reality is going to hit all of us. At least it's hit me. And since they have flattened the economic curve, the whole worldwide, people are having less money.
Yes.
They are paying less rent. They are going to get less salary. You know, everything is going down. So, like tourism, I don't see coming up till 21 or 22. The way that things are, reality. People don't have money. So, for example, the people who would come to Thiru in October, November, December would be working in June, July, August, September in their country, saving money and then coming back. And right now in their own country, they are not earning money. So probability of them coming back is low. So that's okay. So the second question was, and they are wearing a mask because that suits them. That's their firewall. That's the way that they are able to deal with the present reality. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, you may be right about some people, but some people may be so firmly rooted in the present that they know there is no point in fretting about the future. There's no point in worrying about the future. So why are you worrying? Just leave now and make the best out of it, and then you bring that accumulated beauty in the future, and it makes it easier to deal with it in no matter what way it is turning.
Yeah, so what you're saying is think positive. That's
think
basically.
Positive, or maybe don't think at all. Just be. But,
okay.
but if you have to think, then don't let your thoughts always be pulled into negative scenarios and get all worked up about it. Think positive in the sense not that you start to imagine now everything is turning so wonderfully, but positive in the sense that anyhow, may come what comes, I'll be ready for it, I'll be capable of dealing with it.
Okay. And the third question was, since I had a lot of time, I'm spending a lot of time alone with myself, more time than my rest of my life. I have never spent so much time alone with myself.
Yes.
So I'm doing a lot of meditation, getting up at 5 o'clock and reading that book as to who am I and trying to figure out who I am. And this is where the most important question is coming. So I've replayed my life in the past to find out what I have done and where I am, and making amends and facing my character defects or character problems. I mean, everybody has plus or minus in their character. So I'm facing my character defects and looking at it and saying, oh, okay, I do this because of this, and I'm like this because of this. And then certain things happen because I react in a certain way, and therefore it becomes something bad, and people move away from me also. I mean, certain people, right? So I'm going through that journey, and then I've realized that I'm trying to make amends.
Yes.
I have wronged you, say, 5 years ago, and you were my good friend. Now I've realized that I did something wrong. Earlier, I was thinking it's Werner who was the rascal, and I was the good guy. Your monkey in your brain always tells you that, right?
Right. I'm right, they are wrong. I'm right, they are wrong.
Correct. So now, for the first time, I'm realizing, shit, I'm the bloody chutia in the world. I'm the asshole. Suddenly, that realization is happening now, late in my age. So now I'm facing that reality and trying to make amends and tell my brother, who's the elder brother, hey, maybe I was wrong and you're right. I ask for your forgiveness. I'm sorry. And let's start again. So those are the types of things I'm going through now.
Yeah.
So now comes the question, what do you think I should be doing? What would you do if you were Noor? I have explained to you what I have done, and I think you know me quite well.
Yeah. If spontaneously that desire comes up to contact somebody, to make amends, to excuse yourself, to apologize, fine, you can do that, but it's not that you have to go around now, figure out who is there to whom I did something wrong, and then have the whole list and you hook it up that you make amends to everybody. No, you just see that maybe your actions were not always as glorious as you thought, and seeing that profoundly, you make amends with yourself. Oops, I think I don't
No, you're
even,
still on. No, you're on. Everything is okay.
Except that my picture disappeared. But anyhow, can you see me and hear me?
I can see you and hear you, both.
Ah, yeah, then I hope it will come back to me again. You make amends with yourself. See what has happened, not in a judgmental way, just seeing, okay, very neutral. And learn from the situation, and then you can let it go. It's not that you have to go round and round and talk to everybody and tell them, oh, I have to do this, I did this and I did that, and please forgive. If spontaneously that feeling comes strongly, you can do that, but otherwise, never mind. It's enough that you see it and you apologize to yourself.
So no need to contact them or something, just make the changes within yourself.
Right. That's everything. That's the greatest amend. We can go around and apologize and not really change, or you can look at yourself and see what's happening, and then use that to sort of let an old tendency go and something new and spontaneous emerges, and then that is really something creative, not necessarily going around and apologize to everybody.
Got it. Okay.
Noor, as an expert of computers, my picture has disappeared. Can it be just because it is too hot? There is simply.
Or is there a thing on the top which says view? On the top right side, what do you see? There are two boxes there.
No, I don't see anything. It has simply disappeared. I hear you, but I see absolutely nothing.
Oh, your screen is blank?
Blank.
Yes. You have a laptop, right?
Yes.
On the left top side, there's an escape button. Do you see it? It says ESC.
Yes.
Hit that. Let's see what happens.
Ah, yes. Yes, you're good. You're back. Thank you.
No, it's good.
You know, it's my first computer ever I have in my life.
I want to acknowledge you and congratulate you and admire you that at this age you're doing such things with the PC. I suffer from the same thing with my grandchildren, who's 10 years old. He'll come, Grandpa, this is like this, and he'll show me on the goddamn phone, and he'll run away, and then I have to run after him. Hey, how do you do this? You know? And my daughter also. So these youngsters are much better at it.
Yes, you can also start with 65. Huh?
Yes, good. Congrats. I need to acknowledge you for doing this.
It's the situation, that situation that is changing. You have described
Right.
that has done it.
Right, exactly. It reminds me of that movie Life of Pi, where he was stuck in a boat with a tiger, you know. So he had to change, and the tiger also had to change. So now you know how to get back your screen.
Yes, I have. I see you again.
Okay, thank you. Let me not take too much time. There are other people. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om,
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Okay. Anybody else would like to come in?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
Hello.
Hello, both of you.
I'm very happy to see you again. We have a very cold day today. We sit
It looks
outside.
like, yes.
Yes. We sit in blankets outside. Yes. I want to gratitude, Werner. I feel your support always, all the week after every satsang. I feel it, and I'm very happy to see you again.
Thank you.
And I want to share that last time I began to feel some support and some connection with Amma. It happened so unexpectedly. Once it happened a year again. I just want to share that I heard a lot of you that you told about Amma, and Dayal told me about her, but I saw her only once in my life, and it was in such a way like you told about it, that it was a crowd of people and a big hurry, and this hugged so quickly, and I didn't feel anything and didn't understand why I should come again to meet her. And a year ago, it happened that I was in Raman Ashram sitting and meditating, and suddenly I felt myself very strong. I felt myself very strong and a lot of power and a lot of force and like a rock. And I felt that so much strength that I could be afraid of nothing. And I felt that suddenly I felt that this is like Amma feels always. It came to me just this thing came to me, that this association with Amma. This so I felt it like she is always like this. And some days ago I felt something the same, and since then I feel something very close to her. So this is my experience now, and I just very new feelings for me.
You just what? What was the last sentence?
I said this is something new feelings for me, because
yeah.
Yes, because I didn't feel something close to her before, and when I met her, I didn't feel anything. But now this is continuous, and I just feel gratitude for this.
Nice. Feeling close to Amma is feeling close to yourself.
Yes.
So if you feel that, if that spontaneously come, great, wonderful. Then enjoy and make the best out of it as long as it lasts.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question.
Yeah.
This is the same. This is a question from my cousin Christina. She meditates too, and she asks, "Is it possible to meditate lying?" She likes to meditate lying because she has some problems with sitting with her back. And what about lying meditations? What do you think about it?
Sure, it's possible to meditate lying. The temptation is a bit bigger, that you just start to dream away and then doze off. So it needs a bit more alertness not to do that. But if somebody cannot sit because of physical difficulties, then it's perfectly valid to meditate lying. There is an energetic advantage in sitting up relatively straight. It keeps you easier alert and awake. But if it's too painful, if it's physically not possible, then by all means, lie down or sit on a chair.
Okay.
But one has just to be a bit careful not to get into the habit lying down and then actually more dozing off all the time and thinking I'm meditating. But if that alertness is there, the meditation lying down can be equally valid as the meditation sitting up.
Okay. Thank you, Werner. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. You can tell her.
Maybe also I will say thank you to you, Werner. I asked him to you advice how to deal with the Vipassana situation, and I follow your advice, and
Yeah.
clarified, and it's very works. Thank you so much.
Very good. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, thank you, Werner.
Okay. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to come?
Oh, Werner, hello.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I cut off.
No, it's fine. You're
Okay, sorry.
Maya.
Sorry. Hi,
Maya,
Werner.
YouTube. Hi.
Okay, hi. I just have a question about, so right now I'm in a family house. It's our family farm in Denmark where everyone comes vacations and stuff. And it's beautiful and wonderful being with family a lot, but it can get very stressful sometimes. Like, I think, was it your analogy or someone who spoke of the spiritual man in a cave who went into town and got annoyed and realized, oh, he still had his ego, you know, when you're surrounded by people. So I know it's a really a thing with lots of benefits. You know, I can really see when I start to get annoyed at silly small things, but sometimes it feels like being pulled in so many directions all the time with so many people constantly.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you have any, maybe from your experience or just any small way to really ground yourself again.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Let me ask a question to you. Do you have a point in your body where you are centering most naturally?
I believe so, yes.
Yes, and make that really into your center and use that center. Use that center when you are meditating, no matter what kind of meditation you are doing. On top of that, just center and relax. And then try to remain centered also when you get up and when you're interacting with people, and when it's getting on your nerves, and if you have the if you have the presence of mind to remember, instead of reacting, just center and relax. Breathe, center and relax. It's magic. It makes the situation totally different immediately. As long as we are not remembering, we cannot do anything. But when that memory is there, then just anyhow, don't, when I say center all the time, don't do that as a heavy duty center, but playfully, just to bring your attention back to that point in the body. That doesn't mean your consciousness has to become smaller and smaller. Your consciousness can be expansive and expansive, but the expansion has a center. And the more you are familiar and using that centeredness, the more powerful it becomes. And especially in confrontations, in situations where it's not easy, then if you have that presence of mind to consciously center and relax, then you can experience that situation totally different. Then you become much more like transparent. Then you don't need to put down a front. It's not that you then always have to make a front and protect yourself. The more you are centered, the more you can relax in that centeredness, the more you become transparent, and unpleasant situations simply sort of pass through and don't leave a trace.
Thank you. I just, building on that idea of a center, I feel that after I really started focusing and trying not to engage, you know, with siblings from when you're little, there's all that history. So a lot of the time we like to, you know, bite a bit at each other, push around, test each other, whatever. But I found that since I stopped trying to engage in arguments, just not engaging, it's as if the other person gets more angry if I don't want to get angry as well, or don't want to. So then it's, sometimes it may feel like I get stepped on even more because I'm just like, it's fine, I don't, you know what I mean? And then afterwards, I know it sounds stupid, but then I become a bit sad, as if I'm just letting people step on me. Is that a silly way to, is there a way to just ignore that as well, or?
That doesn't mean you have to let people walk down on you. You can center and make your stand if it's necessary. Often you may also really see and feel it's not worth the trouble. Why should I? And then if you don't give a front, if you don't go into it, often the opposite side, it simply will pass. But if that is not the case, sometimes it's totally, perfectly valid that you make a stand. Sometimes you bang on the table and say no. And try not to get just totally, try not to lose it. As long as you are sure and centered and relaxed, then you are much more powerful, and people will accept that you can tell them you keep your distance, you keep certain boundaries. It's not that we have to let go out, and the more we become spiritual, the more everybody will start to walk down on us. Often we just see, it's silly. It doesn't make sense to engage into a fight. But sometimes it's unavoidable. The confrontation is there. The situation asks for it, that you make your stand. And if you're sure about yourself, and the more you can remain calm in it, the more people will start to back away and leave you alone.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Actually, we touched here the subject that many people often have a bit of doubt about or wrong ideas about. That once you get interested in spirituality, once you want to become more self-aware, then there is that ideal put in, that saintly ideal that we should always be totally calm and not react. And it's true, the more you become self-aware, the less you feel like reacting, the less you feel it's a point in reacting. Most of the time you think it's just not worth the trouble to react to situations. And then people may have the idea you're getting calmer and calmer, closer to that saintly ideal. But it's not that the spiritual path is really a path that we get holier and holier and holier and holier. It's a path coming back home, here now, being conscious, being consciously conscious. Learn to relax in that, and the more we can do that, the more there is a sense of fulfillment there, from moment to moment, that the desire to go and struggle with people, to go and engage into fights, to go and get into heavy discussions, the desire simply disappears. But that doesn't mean that when the situation asks for it, we should not do so. It's better not to react out of total uncontrollable anger, that's for sure. If it happens, then let the moments pass and then come back and collect yourself. And from that calmness, you have more and more the clarity, and more and more you can see where is it worth in this situation that I'm making a stand for different reasons, simply in order to preserve a certain space where I can live, or because a certain message may get over to somebody else if I'm making my stand. So if that sense is right, then it's not that we have to behave holy and okay, you can do whatever you like. The old picture, the Christian picture, sometimes it may be right. If somebody hits you on the right side, you present the other side. But sometimes it will not be right. Sometimes it's right and you feel it. It's right that you make a stand, that there is dignity in not letting anybody just do whatever they like. As long as you can remain centered, as long as you can remain inside calm, and even if for a moment you lose it, but you gain it again, then you are not somehow getting unspiritual. You are not leaving the spiritual path. In contrary, then the challenge in that situation is that you develop that strength, that you have the freedom to say, okay, I'm not engaging, or no, I'm engaging. I'm making a stand, tell to the other, don't go any further than that. This is perfectly all right. The more you become self-conscious, the more people will perceive you as a quiet and calm and peaceful being. But you can also be strict. And then the more you are basically peaceful, the more they will also learn to respect it. Still, in a situation like Maya just now has described, where you know each other from childhood, the other side, they may kind of try and test out the field and see how far how far they can go, whether the reactions, the old reactions come again or not. But then there we can bear with that. Sometimes just ignore it, sometimes peacefully deal with it, and sometimes say, stop it, leave me alone. It's not a matter of becoming holier and holier and holier according to a traditional picture of holiness. It's a matter of becoming more and more self-aware here now. And then the actions and the circumstances, they will adjust spontaneously more and more. Anybody would like to talk?
Yes, Werner.
Yes, Cyril?
I remember, where is my picture?
I see you.
Yeah, I remember Amma saying just one anger can destroy months of sadhana. And I'm confronting anger, you know. And sometimes when you get angry, then after, oh my God, what did I do? But then everything is destroyed. What you try to build and try to be centering, then it's all gone. It's terrible. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's, you know, Amma has a very Indian way of talking. And that Indian way is to often hugely exaggerate in order to convey an idea. This is very much the Indian way. Of course, in a moment of anger, you may puff out some of your energy into space. But actually, what is really draining, what is really getting your energy is not so much that momentary outburst, but most of the time when such a thing that has happened, we don't just simply drop the situation. After that, we go in our corner and we sit there and you think that bastard and blah, 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 and it goes on and he's wrong and I'm right and we turn it round and round, and that is really where we are losing our energy. Much more than that momentary outburst.
Okay.
So when the momentary outburst, when you forget yourself, at that moment you cannot really do anything. You can intend that you don't have those outbursts, but then the situation comes and it gets you, the old habit overtakes you. And then there is no point in beating yourself up and say, oh, I've lost months of sadhana. No. Okay, got me again, a little energy is puffed out, so what? But here, now, stop losing your energy. Neither by beating yourself up about what has happened, nor by turning the thing around and round and round. And if you can't help it, to turn it around, when the thoughts simply go back, then let the thoughts come, let the feelings come, but step out of it and watch what it is doing. we can of course decide, okay, I have had certain ways of reacting in the past, and I want to change my ways. And in the similar situation, I don't want to react with anger again. The situation comes, and there, out of habit, puff, there we go again. And there, in the first moment, you are not having any control. It's not even that you have a choice whether you acting like this or not. But then after a moment when you're cooling down, then you remember, oh my God, it got me again. But then don't fall into a negative mood about yourself. In spite of my years of meditation, I'm not getting anywhere. And there also you're losing your energy. You just accept, okay, got me again. The work is not finished. There is more work to do. But here and now, instead of going on with the long story that is usually happening after an outburst, after a confrontation in anger, that we just think about it, and actually it's going to the other person or the other persons, and they, without knowing what is happening, they react, they think about you, and it's going to and fro and on, and there we can really lose a lot of energy unnecessarily. And there you can hook in and so, okay, I see my anger, it's still there, and watch what is happening, and not identify again with the story that has happened, but simply be with the emotion and see what it is doing to you right now, what it is doing to your experience, and learn to relax. And then when you stop sending that angry energy out, then the others also gradually will stop sending that back to you. So it's not so much the outbursts, but usually much more the story that comes after. And there, sooner or later, you remember, and there you have a chance to do something. And if we are dealing with such situations every time like this, then gradually we remember closer and closer and closer. And eventually you may be at the point that in the situation itself, you have the freedom and say, the old reaction is there, but I can choose now whether I want to let it manifest or not.
Yeah, somebody say anger, it's like when people try to push you or to into your limit, and then it's like offering food. You say, no, I'm not hungry. No, I don't want this. Like if somebody that is in anger is proposing you something, you say, no, I'm not hungry now. I mean, inside you can have this idea. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And instead of reacting and hitting back and pushing back, you may be able to just step out of the way.
No. Okay. It's one of my weak points. Okay. Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome.
Hello, Werner.
Yes. Hello, Victor. Yes, I see you. I hear you.
Thank you. This is something a bit different. I was in a recent meditation session. I got into this. I experienced this simple awareness of a presence of just being. It was very calm. It was quite spacious. There were no thoughts or anything. It was just a feeling, a sensation of just being. And then I remembered, it came back for me, a memory from when I was 12 years old. And I remember this because that was when I experienced my first migraine headache. So this is something that's been with me in my mind. But before that migraine headache, when I was 12 years old, I was sitting at a school bench. And I remember experiencing that same awareness of just being.
Yes.
And it's almost like 43 years later, that feeling of awareness of being was exactly the same.
Yes.
It's like nothing had changed within that, in that level of experience.
Yes.
And I sat back after the meditation session. I was contemplating on that and thinking, you know, some of the emotions grow, some of the emotions, feelings change over time because of experiences. But this particular one was exactly the same. The feeling was exactly the same, as though nothing had changed. And I just thought, I was asking you, what are your thoughts on that? I felt very warm about that feeling because I felt like I was 12 years old again. And even though I'm 55 now, there's some unchanging aspect. And I find that quite comforting, is what I concluded after my contemplation. But I just thought, what thoughts did you have on this type of experience?
That is that aspect of you that is not actually touched by anything that is happening here. In a way, eagerly watching, eagerly experiencing, getting richer for the experience, but at the same time, totally unconcerned, unattached, just letting the story go on, essentially remaining the same, and yet there is an enrichment simply because of the experience that we are experiencing here. But essentially, it's the same. It's the same when you were a little boy, when you were 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old. It's the same. Everything else you know about you is changing continuously. Your body changes continuously, your emotions change, your reactions to the world change, your personality, all that person you know you to be, which actually is just the role you play, it's changing all the time, but there is that one aspect which has been a constant, which has been there all the time, whether you are aware of it or not, and you have experienced as a young boy, and now again, and it was also there all the time in between when you were not aware of it.
That's right. It felt like, it feels like home. It feels like, after that experience I had very recently, it feels, that unchanging aspect of it makes me feel very, very relaxed. I mean, I feel so relaxed right now because of it.
Yeah.
It seems to have enriched a little bit more my life now as a 55-year-old. The awareness of it, and the awareness of that changelessness of that sense of being. I have found it very empowering in terms of really settling down now, because I feel that when I turn 100, I'm probably going to have exactly the same feeling again. I feel confident.
Right. It's there. It's all the time. It's here.
Yes.
It's now. It's
Yes.
timeless.
Yes.
And being aware that it's there, even if you are not capable of experiencing it all the time, then of course it gives a lot of security, because you know there is something in me that cannot be affected. Nobody can hurt you.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Can hurt your body, can hurt your emotions, can hurt your pride, can hurt a lot of things, but cannot that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I don't read Ramana much now, but I know that he mentions an experience at a level where you are actually untouched. It's how I sort of, if I put my thinking cap on, and you know, and reading Ramana, he says there is that place that is untouched.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much, Werner. Always a blessing to.
It's wonderful.
In your satsang.
It's wonderful. Just if sometimes times come and it's trying again, and then maybe if you forget about it, but then when you remember, you just remember and relax.
Yes, yes.
That's
Thank
a great enrichment. Wish you well.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? We are on it now for 1.5 hours. I think if there is not somebody who is now immediately having a question, then we may stop the official part for today. 1.5 hours is not bad. Okay, then it seems to be so. So I'm going to turn off the recording now.